Hello and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video I'm going to be going through a marking kind of scheme that you can use to speed up your marking and hopefully give you some of your life back. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the Little Learners family, and if at any point during this video you think it's helpful, give it a thumbs up as it really helps out the channel. So I'm just going to shimmy on over here so that I can show you the marking scheme right here. So first of all, we have one box with 4 little boxes inside, and each of these little boxes is going to help you with your marking. Now, it's great to have this little box along with your learning objective stuck in the book already, or if you get the children to stick it in their books, then you can do it that way, because then you don't have to draw it out. You do not want to be drawing this out every time you want to mark a book. You need to have it already in the book. So, what do the 4 boxes mean? Well, let's go from the top left box, box 1. This box is all about whether or not children have achieved the objective. So, if they have, you'll give it a tick. If they have exceeded the objective, you will give it 2 ticks. And if they have not achieved the objective at all, you can leave it blank. If the child has almost met the objective, you might want to give it a semicircle in there, but it's really up to you. This is a very quick way when you're looking through books to see if a child has been meeting objectives. Moving on to box 2, the top right box. This is the box for if further planning is needed. So if a child has really not understood the objective and they're going to need a lot of further support in the next learning activity, if you might have to repeat this activity, or if they have completely exceeded the objective and next time you're going to need to really extend them, you're going to put a P in this box to let you know that you need to take into consideration what happened this lesson for your next planning. Now, of course, all of our assessing and marking informs our future planning, but this box is specifically for children who you really want to focus on for the next lesson. It's a good idea also every time you put a P in a box to keep a list of any children who are Ps so that you can have that next to you when you're planning your next lesson. Box 3, our bottom right box. You will either write an I or an S in this box. I is for independent, so the child managed to do the work independently and didn't need support. And then an S is for support, so if the child really needed support during this lesson to be able to achieve the objective, or even if they didn't achieve the objective and they still needed support, you'd put an S in this box. That is a really good way when you're looking through work to be able to see how often a child needs more support, and then you can use that to in turn inform your future planning. Box 4, our bottom left box, is our self-evaluation box. This box is for the children, so they will either colour it in red, yellow or green. Red means that they don't think that they've done their best work, either they found it tricky or they think they could have done a lot better, they're not very happy with their work, and of course if they colour it in red you'll need to talk to them about that and about why they feel that way. Yellow is, I think I did okay, but I think I could do better next time. And green is, I found this work either easy or I could do it all by myself, and I think I've done a really good job. The great thing about this marking scheme is that first of all, it's really quick to do. So the child can do the self-evaluation straight away once they've finished their work, and if you're sitting with a group of children, you can be marking once they've finished as well. Or if it's later on and you're going back to the marking, it's a lot easier then to be filling it in. But I think this marking scheme works the best when you are marking as the children are doing the work, so as soon as they've finished. It works particularly well in early years, but certainly throughout later stages of primary school as well. So why don't we have a look at some that are already filled in and have a look at what they mean. So this first one here, we have a tick in box 1. That means that the child achieved the objective. We have nothing in box 2, so we don't need to think about this child specifically for planning next time. In box 3, we have an I, which means they managed to do the work independently. In box 4, the child has coloured it in green, which means they've evaluated their own work and decided that they did a really good job and they are happy with the work that they've done. Let's look at another one. So this one here, we have again a tick in box 1, which means the child achieved the learning objective. Nothing in box 2. Box 3, we have an S, which means they needed support. And in box 4, they've coloured it in yellow, which means they feel like they either needed some extra help, or they found it a little bit tricky, or just that they feel they could do better next time. Okay, let's look at 2 more. So this next one here, we have nothing in box 1, which means the child didn't manage to achieve the learning objective. We have a P in box 2, meaning we need to specifically be thinking about this child when we move on to our next learning experience or next lesson. In box 3, we have an S, which means they needed a lot of support during this task. And in box 4, the child has coloured it in red, meaning they don't feel they did a good job or they found it really tricky. And of course, at this point, you would have a conversation with the child because you wouldn't want them to just go off thinking they've done a terrible job and you haven't spoken to them about it and how they can improve next time. And finally, we have this one here. We have 2 ticks in box 1, which means they have exceeded the objective. We don't have anything in box 2, although sometimes if a child exceeds the objective so much that we think the next learning activity, there's going to be no point for them because they can already do it, then we might put a P in that box. Just depends. In box 3, we have an I for independent work, and in box 4, the child has coloured it in green, meaning they are happy with their work. Now, of course, along with this marking scheme, you can also be leaving comments in books, but I do think that this is a great way to quickly mark books effectively because you're really including all the information you need, and then maybe every so often you can leave a comment, but it's not necessary for every piece of work, especially in early years, because if we are leaving lots of comments in early years books, who are we doing that for? Because the children can't read it. So unless you are writing comments and then reading them with the children the next time you go to their book, or unless they are children who are old enough to be able to read it, then there's probably no point in writing really long comments. And also it takes a lot of the teacher's time. So you can mix it up, you can have this marking scheme and then sometimes write comments alongside it, or you can use this for the majority of your lessons. I hope you have found this helpful. If you did, please give it a like as it really helps out the channel. Let me know below what you think of this way of marking. Do you use something similar in your school? Do you have something else in your school? Let me know your experiences because I love to hear what other teachers are doing, other practitioners are doing. There are so many different types of marking schemes and ideas around marking and policies around marking across schools, so I'd really love to know what your experience is. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.